Maybe you shouldn't be in charge of purchasing the alcohol.
Well, it was Canadian. It was
Not really at all, even a little bit. 7 shots deep.
awkward. Well, this guy is psycho. He's sadistic as fuck.
We need to just go walk in the woods. Let's go. Your mind's about to be blown. Where's Astral? I miss you. Astral.
R.I.P.
Never have I shot one person.
She's like, and then I go, hey, Johnny.
Alright, D.
I see you, Liz.
Okay.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to RidicuLiz, a podcast based in Houston where we discuss all things scandalous, bizarre, and downright ridiculous. Today I have with me
Destiny.
Hello. Okay, today we have Little Mini. If you are on Reddit or you go to Reddit, one of my favorite forums is Let's Not Meet. And it's just people writing to people they don't want to ever meet again because they creep them the fuck out. So, our first story is from user LNM Throwaway. So they just made a throwaway account to make this and delete it.
Me.
But it's verified. So it's someone, they had to prove to the admin through some way. So it's verified. So the title of this is My Friend Went Crazy. Later found out she sent a guy 65,000 texts after one date and broke into his house.
Did they, send Reddit all 65? Wait, 65,000?
65,000.
Okay, whenever I was first reading this, I was just like, no, that's gotta be actually impossible, right?
I wonder, I'm going to have to check to see, on my bill, how many texts I send.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have no idea how many I send. I would say,
it's a shitload, I'm sure.
1,000?
Gotta be.
At least.
But, how quickly after? I guess that's the real question.
And then are they counting text messages, maybe on Messenger and this and just different contact all over?
Honestly, in this situation, it seems like they should.
They might as well add it in there. Okay, but you remember hearing about this story, right?
No.
In the news?
Just
you don't remember hearing about this? Okay, it was this viral story that happened a couple months ago.
Oh, apparently.
Okay, well, this was written 3 months ago.
Oh, yeah, I missed the internet then.
Okay. I have reached out to the mods with evidence to verify this story. I just have to send them this link after posting. So it may take a little bit to get verified. I'm noting this because the story seems completely ridiculous, but the girl I experienced this with is actually insane. Also using a throwaway because I don't want people to try to figure out who I am. So a lot of people may have heard about this girl. She was all over the news after having stalked a guy, bombarded him with 65,000 texts, and broke into his house all over one date. We met shortly after she went on that date with him, and we were friends for a while before she broke into his house.
So she met her during her peak crazy.
Yeah. Literally right then.
See, I don't care about the girls. I want to meet this guy, okay?
Yeah. Why? Special. What happened there? At first she seemed like a nice, albeit quirky person. I met her when I spent a couple of months visiting the west coast of the U.S. in summer of 2017. I thought she was cute, and so we spent some time together. We were living next door to each other for a few weeks, and we were never really more than friends. So I think this is the guy that's writing this. I don't know. I stopped having any sort of non-platonic feelings after she started to talk a lot about a guy she met on some dating website. Apparently, he was her soulmate, and she had been guided to him by following her birth calendar. I would only later come to know that they had only been on one date, and he never spoke to her again. Oh!
Wait.
I thought there was at least talking after.
Right? Just straight up no.
Oh, okay. I thought that was weird, but I enjoyed our conversation for the most part, and she was funny and nice, so we remained friends. Eventually, she moved on to short flings with a guy and then another girl from Tinder. All the while, still talking to me about the guy that she was going to marry, saying that she liked how jealous he got when she would tell him about hooking up with other people.
Wait, what? What?
So she's acting like they're both talking. So it's all in her head.
Oh my god.
Probably. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist.
Oh my god, I want to meet her.
Yeah. I want to hear an interview with her.
Yes.
I'm sure there's one out there. It was super viral. I'm
really
sure there's one.
resisting the urge to look at my phone before you finish this.
A couple of weeks later, she started to get really erratic. I confronted her a few times about how she was acting, and she told me that she had recently stopped taking her meds, but would start taking them again. She came home one day and decided to tell me that she had a court date hearing coming up for a DUI. I had no idea if this is actually true, but if there's a way to find out, it happened in Arizona. Her name is pretty easy to find, so someone could look it up if they wanted to.
Okay.
Noted. Her plan was instead to leave the country and to go to South America. I told her.
What a fantastic plan.
I told her what a dumb idea that was, and even though she actually went all the way to the airport in a different city, she wound up coming back. Alright. Apparently her soulmate was no longer answering her texts, and she took this as a sign that she should drag her ass back to where he was and fix their relationship. Clearly. She was upset that he may be seeing other people, even though it seemed okay to her that she was seeing other people. Later on, she told me that she had texted him and said if he blocked her, she would know that meant he wanted her to come find him. Obviously, he blocked her. Obviously, that didn't go over well with her.
But she told him that's what that was.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
if you block me, that means you want me to come get you.
I kind of feel like blocking her was the wrong call then. Like, not trying to blame him at all, but like, well,
I don't think she actually does anything to him. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
So he's not a victim. Blaming him.
Yeah. He's fine.
I mean, he's a victim of harassment, I'd say.
Okay. So she moved a couple of days later, and the summer was ending, and I moved back to the East Coast. I didn't hear her for a little while, but then we started talking again through text and WhatsApp. I've heard of that before. I'm too old for that.
I think I used it. Oh no, I used something else. Well, not for that.
There was like a messenger thing they used once, and it was like Kickster, or
I think it's just Kick.
Is it
Some
Kick?
guy tried to get me to add it. So
I added it, and then I was like, I couldn't figure out what it was, and then I turned it off.
Yeah, I never added it because he just wanted me to talk to him, so his wife couldn't see it. I was like, I'm good. I didn't know you had a wife. Bye now.
Bye. She seemed like she was doing better. She told me she had found a roommate and was working on her art again, and just generally seemed
totally sane. I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, well, it like she was in a better place.
Oh, that's good.
I was happy to have my friend back and healthy, but that didn't last longer than a couple of months. Eventually, her behavior started to seem erratic again. She was sending dozens of texts at a time, and they were all over the place. Several of them had to do with her soulmate and how she was still following him, even though he had called the police and blocked her. I told her to stop, tried to get her to take her meds, and tried to reason with her 100 times. I was on I want to know what she was on. I was on the opposite side of the country and had no way of getting in with her family, who I never knew much about, or friends to try and get them to help her. She was a kind person and a good friend when she was taking care of her mental health, and I cared about her, but I couldn't force her to take care of herself. No, you can't force it. One day, I set aside some time to call her, and I told her that she was overwhelming me and that she really needed to reach out to her family or someone who could help her. She told me I couldn't do that because she needed to stay with me, or she would have to go back to her ex-husband. Where did he come from?
Dealt with one of these before.
Right? I don't think any of this is true, but she thought that her ex-husband was going to have her killed or followed.
What?
That he had the entire police force in his pocket, and he had paid off her family to give him intel on her whereabouts and what was going on in her life. I had just moved for a job, and I lived in a small studio in a big city. I had no room for anyone to stay long term, and I was about to do that anyways since he was starting to scare me at this point. She asked me if I was still living at, please put my address, which really freaked me out because I had never given her my address or put it anywhere online, and she wouldn't tell me how she got it. I asked her to leave me alone and told her that we couldn't be friends anymore unless she took some steps to get better. She obviously didn't take this well. So though I hated my tiny cramped apartment, the reason I was drawn to it was because because it had great security. It was actually on the upper floors of a hotel, although the hotel rooms were much nicer than the residence, and no one was allowed. That'd be cool to live
That would
on
be
top.
interesting.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And no one was allowed through to the residence elevators unless the resident had given their name to security ahead of time and the guest had shown ID. After what happened next, I loved my cramped little apartment because the staff kept me safe. It had been over a year. Sorry, no, it had been over a week since I had talked to her because I blocked her number and blocked her on WhatsApp. She tried texting me from 4 different phone numbers using text-free, etc., and I just blocked them all and never responded. I was walking home from work one day, and I was sure I saw her across the street from my building, but it was stormy out and I didn't get a good view. I rushed upstairs and calmed myself down in the apartment. Maybe I was just being paranoid. It's a big city. Lots of people have brown hair and glasses. I'm just
scary.
Yeah, I guess I'm scary. I just worried about her. But then the phone rang. The desk was calling to see if I'd forgotten to let them know I had a visitor. My heart sank. I asked them who was waiting, and they said they tried asking for her name and ID, but she just walked out. And I knew it was her from by the way they described her. I texted a mutual friend over the summer. I wasn't really close to him, so we hadn't stayed in touch much. But he had told me that she had lost it, and she had blocked her too. Apparently, she had gone back on the dating site she met her soulmate on and found someone who looked just like him in my city. She was convinced it was him.
What? Wait, okay, so
to be that random person and be like, what do I have to do with this?
When did she send these messages? Did she send it even to the right guy?
I don't know. Maybe that's the one. Okay, maybe it's 2 different people. To confine him. This was a very touristy city. There was just no way this guy had coincidentally come out here. Well, I can't talk. I was sure she had gone bonkers, and I knew she was well aware of where the guy actually lived. I took a page out of her book and used a text-free number to text her that she should leave me alone and I would call the cops if she ever came near my building again. In retrospect, I shouldn't have contacted her at all, but I was emotional and not using my better judgment. Same. She just wanted to know if I could help her find something, texted back really fucking fast and didn't even try to hide it. Then I deleted the text-free app so she couldn't reach me again. I lived in a very crowded area and I knew she couldn't get into my building, but I was still scared whenever I had to take public transit alone at night or when I was walking through less crowded areas to get home. I had a friend who used to work for the police, but not in this city or at the time that this happened, and she would drive me or walk me home from work whenever she could for a little while. She told me I should go ahead and report it even though I couldn't really do anything since she hadn't hurt me and nothing really happened. But I was embarrassed, and again, I didn't use my better judgment. I felt like it was my fault engaging with her for so long. I knew she wasn't mentally stable, and
that's not a reason to not engage with people mentally unstable.
Yeah.
That's the ones you need to watch out for.
But how do you know the difference?
You don't, and that's the problem. That's why she shouldn't feel guilty. Once she realized it, she was like, oh, wait, no, this is scary. But, like, everyone has a mental issue, honestly.
Just saying, maybe I gave her the wrong idea that I could do more for her. So she's feeling guilty. I ended up moving to a new city for another job, and I didn't hear from her again. I later found out the reason why was that a couple of months later, she had once again gone back to Arizona and had been arrested for breaking into her soulmate's house and using his bathtub. They found a large knife in her car. I didn't want to go into too much detail about her stalking of that guy, but what she said about him in our text, because I wanted to try and focus more on my personal experience with her instead of this, I could answer some questions in the comments, blah, blah, blah. And then the too long to read. Friend went crazy because she stopped taking her meds and was stalking a guy she insisted was her soulmate, tracked me down at my apartment across the country after I stopped talking to her, went back where she came from, broke into a guy's house, took a bath while she had a butcher knife in her car. I later found out she had been the one on the date with this guy. She claimed it was a relationship and bombarded him with 65,000 texts. Some of them included violent messages about wanting to cut off his body parts and wear them.
What?
What?
Where in the story did she mention the text messages? Did I miss that part?
Well, okay, so I think she was just about the girl that happened to go viral for this thing, but like their side of the story. That had nothing to do with our guy.
Yeah.
So basically, we need to look up.
Clearly. Yeah. I've been resisting this whole time. I almost did when you got up a second ago. I was like, ooh, my friend's been on this whole time. My bad. Bad podcast. Yes.
What's her name?
I'm sorry. I have to.
No, just type in the
text.
Yeah, the text numbers or some crazy.
Oh, God. There's a video.
Is it the first thing that popped up?
Okay, I have seen this video.
Yeah, I'm telling you. It went like...
Okay.
Wait, I don't remember being a video, though.
I'm pretty certain I've seen this lady.
You say I'm going to be on Fox News?
I'm Jackie. Okay. You want to ask me questions? All right, go ahead.
Why don't you start from the beginning? How did you wind up here?
I wound up here on a road trip from Florida, looking for, I guess, love. And I was following the number 33. I used to wake up every day and every night at 3:33. It was always 3:33, 3333. So I kept following the number, and I said, why am I following the number 33? And I spoke to the psychic, and she told me, I have the same birth chart as Jesus. So then I said, okay. I look up Jesus. He was 33 when he came to me.
What did they ask her?
The man.
Oh, how did she get here?
Yeah, how did she get here? And she started talking about 33 and Jesus.
Why is she so out of breath?
I
I
know.
met him online. I was looking for my healing angel. The psychic I met told me I would meet a healing angel. So the number 3, I told him the story how I got here, just because I got here, the number 3. And then he said not to say anything, but look behind me. And I looked behind him, and there's the giant number 3. So I was like, are you my healing angel? And he was like, no, I'm not. And then I said, okay, well, maybe you're going to lead me to my healing angel. So I meet him, and we have the same birthday. Our brothers are both named Jacob and David. Our fathers are both Egyptian Jews from Cairo. We're both vegetarians. Then I find out he does stuff for the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea has 33% salt in it. Walt Disney's club is called Club 33. The reason they're called
Why are they just letting her
the location of Atlantis
like rant?
is
This makes no
inside the
sense.
Earth.
No, it doesn't.
Coordinates are 33.
Because isn't that what everyone wants? You just want to know what's going
Yeah.
on there. So
Yeah.
the best way to do that is just let them talk.
Charges against you.
Oh,
Completely like on topic, which is off topic.
those things.
What about the text messages?
I'd rather not talk about this.
You said you met him online.
Yeah.
What site did you meet him on?
Luxie.
What kind of site is that?
Oh, like the most shallow one ever, where the rich men meet the pretty girls.
And what, you know, I know you don't want to talk about the texts, but in some of them you said some pretty crazy things. Would you want to just respond to that part of it?
Not right now.
Why did you text him 65,000 times?
Because it made me find out all my information. Loving him selflessly brought this information because everybody just wants to take. But if you just give and you don't stop giving, even if you don't receive, you all of a sudden receive a lot.
Did he tell you to stop contacting him?
I don't want to talk about that.
Did you listen to that?
I don't want to talk about that.
You said did you go on one date with him?
3.
3 dates. Can you talk about how you felt when you were with him? Did you feel a spark immediately? Talk about how you felt.
I felt like I met my soulmate and everything was just the way it was. And I thought we would just do what everybody else did and we would just like get married and everything would be fine. But that's not what happened.
65,000 text messages. That's like next level stuff.
No, to me it seemed like more.
Seemed like more than 65,000?
To me, yeah.
Isn't that kind of excessive?
Love is an excessive thing.
Can you understand why people think this is a
She almost sounds like Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a crazy person?
I can't.
Tell us, who are you? Like, what do you want?
I'm the person that discovered love. The equation to light. Einstein discovered the equation to light. It's E equals mc squared. To finish that equation, everything we see is made out of light. Everything. And the composition of the light that it's made out of.
Jackie, some of those messages
Give her a paper so she can write this in a fucking book.
When you're finding love, not everything is perfect. This was a journey. And I want to apologize because nobody would ever be more sorry.
Would you have really hurt him?
No. No.
Did you think about it?
So the rest of the equation is L
actually.
equals 3.3.
Define her.
L equals 3.3 times E equals MC
Oh my
squared. And
god.
that's the equation of eternal love.
Did he love you?
It means one boy
Love
thing
it.
plus one girl thing. The boy is the light. The light makes the love work really hard. The love, we're as women supposed to worship the men, and they're supposed to lead us in where we're supposed to go.
Well,
But
obviously,
instead, we all
how are you
believe
doing that with all
in the
these
number
words?
zero. The number 0 is a belief system that the Illuminati created to create the undertaking of all humankind.
Jackie, why do you think it was important to speak to us today?
Because I have to share
Share what?
the message of love.
What's your message of love?
Everybody has to love each other.
He has to love
What do you
me.
want if the victim's watching, what do you want him to know right now?
Victim, he's not a victim.
Okay, the person that,
That I love.
yes.
I want him to know that I love him.
Are you going to leave him alone?
If he wants me to.
Has he asked you to leave him alone?
I talk about those things.
Why did you go to his business on Friday and
Yeah,
tell everybody that you were his wife?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about them.
Can we ask why you don't want to talk about some of
You
these?
have negative energy. I'm sorry.
Well, that's convenient,
I'm
isn't
gonna
it?
say that to someone.
They're being negative to
Oh,
me.
your
No, I
other
don't want to
questions
talk to you. You have negative energy.
were fine.
Well, we are trying to understand where you're coming from. It's not negative, so that's why we want to try to understand.
On the dollar bill, it says she prefers your undertaking a new world order in Latin on the $1 bill. And the pyramid represents slavery and
The dollar
provides
bill.
imagination. So everybody is a Jew, essentially. That's what the imagination is. And the pyramid is how we were enslaved. So we've been enslaved by money, and we enslave each other. It's like a self-perpetuating cycle of enslaving each other and taking from each other and being selfish.
Well, I was having a what is he? Like, my brain can't handle it.
I mean, that's pretty scary stuff.
I don't want to talk about that.
That's pretty scary stuff. Would you admit that was scary stuff?
I don't want to talk about that.
So love makes you crazy
I'm
things now.
feeling,
Would it ever make you capable of killing someone?
Do you think that some of these messages...
But I want to find out like where she got this information.
Yeah.
She had to be on some crazy YouTube channels because that's where you find this crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yes, part of downloads of information.
She just like stopped sleeping. It was just watching like.
Those like 4-hour
Yeah.
Mandela effect YouTubes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna read
Go
you this
ahead.
one.
I know.
Okay, I'm gonna read you another story from Reddit. This is from username Shark Surday. The headline is: had an incredibly frightening experience last night and wanted to know if anyone here has ever had similar encounter.
That's the part that confused me. Like
Like if something similar has happened to you,
right?
kind of.
No, I get it, but like
Yeah.
it makes me curious. Like, what is it then?
Yeah. Okay, so last night I was at a classmate's house working on a group project we have due tomorrow. I live in an apartment in town where our university is located, and my classmate lives at his parents' house, which is in the foothills just outside of town. In order to get to that house, you have to drive along a relatively secluded, narrow 2-lane road and about 5 to 6 miles. We started working on the project at about 6 p.m. and I ended up hanging around for a while after we'd finished our work. So I left his house pretty late at about 11 o'clock. Starting down the road back towards town, I didn't realize how tough it would be to navigate the road at night. There were no street lights and the road was unkept and riddled with potholes. On top of this, I had no cell service, so I had to drive very slowly to make sure I didn't blow out one of my tires, since I had used my spare a couple of weeks back. I figured I was about 3 miles from the house when I rounded a tight corner and saw a pickup truck with a camper shell parked at... Oh, I did pre-read this one. Oh, okay.
Oh god. I'm already scared, honestly. I'm like, oh fuck this.
I saw a pickup truck with a camper shell parked diagonally across the road.
No.
The manner in which it was parked completely impeded my path, and I couldn't drive around it. Because there was a gully on both sides of the road, the only way for me to go at this point was backwards.
Yep.
Where there was a pull-off that I could use to turn my car around. At first, I couldn't see inside the cab, but when I turned on my high beams, I saw that there was a man slouched over in the driver's seat, his head resting against the steering wheel, as if he had been knocked out after a bad accident. I immediately sensed something was wrong. The way his car had just coincidentally come to rest in a position that totally blocked the road was a big red flag for me. I had heard stories of people playing dead in the middle of the road as a way to lure unsuspecting people out of their cars so they could rob them. I decided, fuck this shit, and elected to go back to my classmate's house and explain what was going on. I threw the car into reverse, and my eyes kept darting back and forth between my rear view and the truck. I looked and saw that I was almost to the pull-off where I could turn around. When I looked back, my heart skipped about 5 beats. The man who had been slouched over in the driver's seat was now walking at my car at a hurried pace, while a few other men jumped out of the camper shell and started moving towards me as well. I panicked and accelerated backwards into the pull-off, which messed up the undercarriage of my car pretty bad. As I put it into drive, the guy was almost already at my passenger side door, tugging at the handle, which, thank the Lord, was locked. I only caught a brief glimpse of him, but his face appeared to be scabbed and leathery. Definitely a meth head or some sort of drug abuser. I sped away and I didn't slow down at all until I reached the house, constantly checking my rear view to see if they were following. Thankfully, they didn't tail me. And when I reached the house, I explained what had happened to my classmate, and we called the cops. I was grateful that my buddy's parents were kind enough to let me stay the night. Of course, if they didn't, like, they're freaking monsters. Like, even if it's just on the floor, whatever. They didn't find anyone on the road.
But what if, I'm sorry, but what if that friend made that shit up because they wanted to stay at your house and murder you? You don't fucking know.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of people doing that. I haven't. But
no.
it's possible.
It's probably been in a movie at some point. They didn't find anyone on the road matching the description, but I filled an incident report and they told me they would keep the lookout for similar vehicles and suspicious activity. But holy shit, I'm still so shook up over it. I keep getting the same adrenaline rush I got when I saw the guy charging at me whenever I think about it. Please share similar experiences you've had. I would appreciate a good read or a good discussion to help clear my headspace.
No.
I don't ever look at the comments on it, so I don't know if sometimes they update stuff in the comments or tell more about the story. But
I'm sure somebody's had stuff like that. But,
yeah, that's crazy.
Thankfully, I have not.
Yeah, almost like that. Almost sounds like gang initiation. You know what I mean?
Like the story.
Yeah.
About it.
Like if you flash your high beams, like they'll come around and chase you. Like it's just.
I've heard of that, yeah. Yeah, it does sound like one of those.
Scary.
It is fucking no.
That's scarier than like ghost stories, you know? Because that's like that could really happen.
Oh hell yeah!
At any time.
No, as soon as you started saying like the Chuck, I already knew what was happening, and I was thinking like I would have never even seen the person. I would have immediately saw that and been like, bye.
Fuck this.
I can find another way.
Yeah.
It's Houston. There's a million ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Turn around, don't drown.
Or get shot, you know, whatever.
All right, we're gonna end this like we always do, with our wheel of endings. Okay.
Oh gosh. Fun facts. Oh fuck, I don't know anything. Heartworms are very bad for your dog.
Aww. That's not so fun fact.
It's not a fun fact. Oh, okay, I'll have to stick with fun. They are very bad for your dog. Please stay on heartworm prevention. It's sad. Okay. Fun. Well, damn, I really don't know any of those. I'm kind of.
Did you do any like tours or anything like that?
Yeah, we went to the ruins. You can't touch them anymore. That's not fun. That's sad.
Were you allowed to touch them at some point?
Apparently you were, but people were graffitiing them and like carving their names.
In the ruins?
Yes. Yeah. Fun fact. That's not fun. See, none of this is fun. I don't know what fun is.
We'll change the subject. Unfun facts.
Unfun. We need to add that clearly for me at least.
Where's my Sharpie? Okay, I'm gonna do the wheel.
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay, I was today years old. What did you learn recently that everyone else seems to know? I just Googled the term when someone's telling you hold your horses. They're telling you to be stable. Like horses go in a stable. Like be still, hold your horses.
Okay.
I was today years old when I learned that.
Well, me too, apparently. Interesting. Go us.
Okay. Well, it was fun hanging out with you.
Bye.
Bye. We're gonna do. Bye. Thanks for listening to RidicuLiz. Our cover art is done by Ashley Jackson. Check out our website at RidicuLizPod.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at RidicuLizPod, on Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube at RidicuLizPodcast. And if you have any ridiculous stories of your own, please email us at ridiculizpodcast@gmail.com. That's RIDICULIZ podcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever else you get your podcasts. More importantly, if you like our show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're hearing us now. It's really the best way to help us out. We're also an independent show, so if you would like to support us and get a shout out, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/ridiculiz. See you next time.
You saw my post today about the thing that I found on my porch. The bag full of freaking IDs and not passports, fucking social security cards. Yeah. Last day
On your porch?
Yeah, last day at my apartment, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm cleaning out. So I haven't been on my back porch. I have no idea how long. It's been forever. So as I'm cleaning the stuff off the back porch, I pick up this Ziploc bag. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I open it up and dump it out, and there are like 5 social security cards and a bunch of IDs. I have no. Yeah, I don't know.
What'd you do with it?
Well, there's a precinct like right next to my apartment, so I just took it over there. I was like, I don't know what to do with this.
I just found this.
Take it from me.
Wow, at least you turned it in, so they'll probably maybe get stuff back. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I'm assuming somebody just like, why would it all be in? Because it was in a Ziploc bag. Like,
yeah, all together.
Yeah, all together. Like, my first thought was like somebody just stole a bunch of shit and got rid of all the identification.
Mm-hmm.
But like there weren't wallets with it. You'd think you'd just take out all the valuables and then toss the whole thing.
So it's just IDs and social security cards.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably some kind of like identity theft thing
that's what I was
whatever.
thinking at first. At first the officer seemed like what he said. It looked like it might have been fraudulent. Like people were making them, and the social
and like delivering them or something.
Right. The social security cards did look very new. I was like, whose social security cards look this new? And all of
unless
them
you just ordered it.
Right. Exactly. And I don't know, dude.
Huh.
Oh, they did take my information whenever I turned in that stuff.
They did?
I hope they, like, actually call me. I know they won't.
Yeah, but let you know, like, what they found out.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
My mom was like,
something really crazy.
Right? My mom was like, what if somebody's dead? I'm like, fuck, I didn't even think of that. Like, Jesus Christ.
That's weird.
Right?
Can you call back and like, hey, I just wanted to check up on?
I don't know. Now I'm scared someone's dead. I don't know if I want to.
No. I want to be dead.
I don't know, but I was just like, I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah.
This is weird. I hate
That's
this apartment.
really weird.
I'm so glad I'm done with it.
So today was your last day there?
Today was my last day there.
Aww.
Yeah, so
cool.
Yay. Fuck that.
I have, 3 weeks, I think, left here? I have the whole month of March to move, so.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Brandon will be willing to help.
Okay.
I'll volunteer his help right now.
I think Nancy volunteered Josh too. Like, that's so nice. That's so nice of us. We volunteer you guys.
Getting married though.
Yeah.
I'm just like, my roommate will help you, no worries.
And he's like, what the fuck? And we're like, also, we're using a truck. No, I'm just kidding. We're renting a van.
Oh, really? Well, we had the truck, so, you know, it's a thing.
So should I read that one first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, which one?
The text message?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I just need you to know, I went through a phase, okay, after I watched a movie, and I did, I think, a spell that I looked up with some friends. We thought we were witches for like a whole sleepover night.
Oh my god, I can't even be here, honestly. I need
The Craft,
people to
that's
tell
what we
me
watched.
up front whether or not they have done witchcraft. Well, I'm sure Google
I'm a
would have
cheater
a fun,
pumpkin eater.
I'm sure I'd be able to find a fun fact on Google. Let me see. No, I did find that lady though.
Ooh, fun fact. What she does, the lady. What are you talking about?
That's not fun. It's sad.
Yeah, that's sad.
Everything I do is sad. Fun fact. I'm sad.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
Okay. Done.